Hey friends, Ash here. Hope that you're doing well. One of the worst things that can ever happen to you is your favorite fragrance being discontinued. Actually, I guess in the grand hierarchy of things that could happen to you, it's not even remotely close to the worst thing ever. But for the sake of drama for this video, it is the literal worst thing ever. What am I gonna do? I can't wear my fragrance anymore. That's terrible. Who will think of the children? All jokes aside though, it can be a complete bummer when your favorite fragrance is discontinued and you can no longer find it. Because at that point, really your only option is to go to somewhere like eBay, hope that you don't get a fake and end up paying triple or quadruple what you would have paid, a month ago before the thing ran out of stock. And with that in mind, I'm gonna be sharing with you guys today 10 different fragrances, fantastic fragrances that you may want to pick up sooner rather than later. Because if time has taught me anything over and over again, it's putting off picking up a fragrance that I know is gonna be hard to find bites me in the butt. All the fragrances I share with you guys today are gonna be linked in the description below. Feel free to check them out down there. The first fragrance I want to share with you guys is one that I'm actually really happy to be able to feature again, possibly for about the last time on the channel, Gentleman Cologne. So this one is obviously from Givenchy, and it's actually been discontinued for a while and been really, really difficult to find. But for at least right now, as of when I'm shooting this video, you can find this one online at a couple of different stores. It's not as cheap as it used to be, unfortunately, but at least you can find it. So what's the deal with Gentleman Cologne? Well, this one is obviously in that Gentleman line of fragrances. It has iris, like pretty much all of the fragrances did right up until Gentleman Society. But this one was a cologne. Yeah, it's kind of in the name. And what I mean by that is this was the quintessential summertime Gentleman release. Because you had Gentleman Eau de Toilette. That one was kind of supposed to be an anytime versatile type of fragrance. Then you had Gentleman Eau de Parfum. Ooh, deeper, richer, a little more sophisticated, darker. And then Gentleman Cologne to capture that warm weather usage. So you had one that you could use whenever, you had one for fall and winter, and then this one for spring and summertime. But unfortunately, this one got the axe. And I love the way this stuff smells. Really, really dig it. It is very clean, it's fresh, a little bit sweet. Has kind of like this aquatic, water spritzed green freshness to it. In terms of notes, along with that iris, you also had citrus in here, bergamot and lemon, along with petitgrain, vetiver, musk, ambroxan, and rosemary as well. It's not a really strong fragrance, so you could knock it off a few points for that, but at the end of the day, it's made for summertime and it smells fantastic. Really classy, easily worn, and just a great scent that was taken from us too soon. Very sad. The next one is kind of an odd one. It's Why Le Parfum from Yves Saint Laurent. Now, why Le Parfum? Because this one's still readily available. As of when I'm shooting this video today, you can pick that very fragrance up from about any discounter you want. JOMASHOP? Yeah. Fragrance Buy? Yeah. Fragrance Net? Yeah. Anybody? Yeah. Well, the reason is because this one could be going through a little bit of a change-a-rooney. And I actually only learned about this a few days ago. So Why Le Parfum was quietly sold out from stores. When I say from stores, I'm talking about retailers. The place that gets the fragrances directly from YSL, and then they sell it to you at a not insubstantial markup. Macy's, Nordstrom, Sephora, Ulta, Neiman Marcus, etc. You know what I'm talking about. So this was clearanced, sold out from all of those places, and also sold out from YSL's own website. And the reason for that is apparently this is going to be relaunched. Now this is where it gets iffy, because as of right this moment, I don't know how much this is going to be changing. It could be changing a lot. It could be changing a little. It's kind of up in the air because YSL themselves have not come out and said, this is the deal. And this would not be the first time YSL has changed a fragrance in the Y line, relaunched a fragrance in the Y line. They did it with Y Eau de Toilette. And in actuality, the new version of Eau de Toilette most people like more than the original version. But it does go without saying, if you love Eau de Parfum as it is, you accept it for who it is, and you want to keep this very same formulation for years and years to come, it may behoove you to pick up an extra bottle, because when this one relaunches, which it is being relaunched, it's not being fully discontinued, but when it's relaunched, nobody, myself included, knows how different the new Eau de Parfum is going to be. It could end up smelling, in actuality, extremely similar to this one, to the point that it doesn't even matter that it was relaunched. Or it could end up smelling quite different. And at that point, you will be glad to have that version, unless you like the new version more. After that, let's talk La Nuit de l'Homme Eau de Parfum, another Yves Saint Laurent. Now, this one you can find at discounters. Right now, it's available. So this is not an issue where it's like, oh, you know, it's discontinued and impossible to find. This one is discontinued, but as of now, you can find it. But that is the deal. It's discontinued. So that first part of the sentence, it's discontinued, but you can still find it. That means they're not making any more of them. So what that means is when it runs out of stock at discounters, I do that like I don't know what's gonna happen. I know what's gonna happen. It'll get more expensive. Yeah, it'll get harder to find. That's what always happens. I've seen it dozens and dozens of times. Fragrance is discontinued, fragrance is available, sometimes for a long time at discounters. But then once it actually sells out of stock, that's when it becomes a big pain. And there are other fragrances in the L'Homme and La Nuit de l'Homme lines that have been discontinued. And they happened kind of like this one, where it's just like a quiet whimper into the night. It's not this kind of thing where just one day, boom, an explosion, they're gone, the prices skyrocket. Like, that's not what happens, at least not with these. What typically happens is it's discontinued, slowly, that stock dries out. And then one day you go to look for it, type it in on Google or whatever, and it doesn't pull up any listings for sale, not at any discounters. And then you're like, uh-oh, oh no. You go to eBay, and that's when you realize, oof, it's gone, huh? And then if the fragrance discounters do get some back into stock, but they've caught on, this happens. L'Homme L'Intense. Oh, a cool 161 bucks. What a deal. So anyway, back to La Nuit de l'Homme Eau de Parfum. This one has cardamom in it, which ties it in with the original La Nuit de l'Homme. It has grapefruit, lavender, leather, tonka, sandalwood, bit of patchouli as well. It has solid longevity. The quality is nice. It's not overly sweet, but it's still really sexy. Great evening fragrance, very good for fall and winter time. It never caught on in a massive way, but a lot of people out there absolutely love this one. And the fact that it flies under the radar a little bit makes it even better for those that do love it. Before we hop to the next fragrance, guys, here are some codes you can use to save money across different websites. That JOMASHOP code, be aware of it. It changes every couple months or so, and it only works within the JOMASHOP app, which is pretty much the exact same as their website. But you can download the app, use those codes to save a little money. Then all the other codes across Fragflex, the Perfume Box, Max Aroma, and more, those stay the same and work as always. All right, this next one, I'm kind of already too late. It's Dior Homme Parfum, the original. Now, I have heard some rumors that Dior is gonna come out with Dior Homme Parfum Original. You know how they did with Dior Homme Original when they came out with Dior Homme 2020? They re-released what had been Dior Homme as Dior Homme Original, but it was really hard to find in the US, and then that has kind of dweebled out over time. You know, it's not really anything that was readily available at any point, again, at least in the US. And so if they do that with Dior Homme Parfum and they come out with Dior Homme Parfum Original, I would imagine same thing there. It's not gonna be readily available because this one in the US never really was to begin with. But yeah, all that aside, Dior released a new version of Dior Homme Parfum, and it ain't nothing like the original Dior Homme Parfum. It smells completely different. So what that means is if you're a huge fan of this fragrance right here, you probably wanna try to pick up another bottle. The issue with that is everybody and their mama who was a big fan of this fragrance is trying to do the exact same thing. It was already kind of hard to find, like I said, prices were already not low at any point, but if you want it, It's probably gonna get more difficult to find as time goes on because it has been replaced. And making it even more annoying, now when you type in Dior Homme Parfum, you're gonna get just a whole bunch of results of the new one in your search results. And if they come out with a Dior Homme Parfum Original, I guess you could scoop that up. From there, we head on to Acqua di Gio Profondo, the original version of this one. So this is another fragrance that has been reformulated, but you can still find the original version pretty easy, at least as of when I'm filming this. Like if you go to JOMASHOP, for example, you can find all kinds of Acqua di Gio Profondo bottles on there that are the original one here. Obviously, the easiest way to tell is the bottle itself. If it's this one, all this same blue color from top to bottom, then that is the older iteration. The newer version has a gradient and says Eau de Parfum right down there. There's also a Profondo Parfum. Don't get that confused. We're talking about Profondo Eau de Parfum. And I do love this version of Profondo. I might like the new one a bit more, just a tiny teensy weensy bit, but I still love this. It is more masculine when you compare it to the original Acqua di Gio. Also a little bit more green, has a minerality to it, not as floral. A great citrus opening as well, super appealing, very versatile, big compliment puller. But I am a sucker for Acqua di Gio. I love the line. One of my original fragrances that I wore like crazy when I was younger. So yeah, Acqua di Gio is kind of my thing. And this is one that I've kicked around in my head picking this one up because if you go back in time with Acqua di Gio Essenza, for example, or Acqua di Gio Profumo, some of the other Acqua di Gios that have been discontinued over time, those fragrances are just about always in demand. So this is probably one of those ones that right now, you know, it's not a big deal. We've got the new Profondo and everything, but as stock runs out, it could be one of those ones that people really want, you know, the original version of this flanker. Then another Dior. This is Fahrenheit Le Parfum. Now, there's been nothing announced that, you know, this is being replaced, that this is being discontinued, nothing like that. But if Dior decides to do something Fahrenheit-wise, it wouldn't surprise me if this ends up going by the wayside. And it's already not the easiest thing on earth to pick up. So this is one of those ones where I would just say, keep your eyes and ears open. If you really love this fragrance, just kind of try to keep your finger on the pulse of what Dior is doing, because they, of course, switched in-house perfumers. It's now Francis Kurkdjian, and he is trying to, you know, put his stamp on the fragrances that Dior has, the fragrance lines. We saw that with the new Sauvage Eau Forte. We saw it with the new Dior Homme Parfum. So if Dior Homme got one, Sauvage got one, that could be next. And there are actually some rumors going around, I don't know how legitimate they are or not, that were saying Dior Homme is getting a new one and Fahrenheit is getting a new one. And then not long after that, the new Dior Homme Parfum came out. If something gets announced Fahrenheit-wise, all I'm saying, wouldn't surprise me if this is getting replaced or if that whole line is gonna get shaken up. And if so, this is worth owning another bottle of. Fantastic boozy fragrance, a little bit more mature, but very sexy, sophisticated. It's got a great suede leather note to it. It's got a touch of that petrol vibe that you're gonna find in the original Fahrenheit, but smoothed out, made a bit sweeter, a little more wearable, I would say, for most people too. Now a fragrance that's been a little bit difficult to find, kind of like Gentleman Cologne over here. It is Gucci Guilty Cologne. This is another one of the guilty flankers that didn't really take off in a big way. So it was basically released and then people just went, oh, it's green. Okay, that's cool. And then it went poof. And everyone said, was there something just here? Nah, just kind of like that. Just here today, gone tomorrow. Nobody even remembered it. But for some people, it was a love, a fragrance that flew under the radar that they absolutely adored. In terms of notes, it is very green, aromatic, and clean, like you would expect from a fragrance that looks like this and has the flanker name Cologne. But in terms of notes, it had juniper, rosemary, bergamot, violet, heliotrope, cypress, cedar, patchouli, and musk. So yeah, very green, soapy, definitely more of a spring, summer, fall fragrance, and way different, frankly, than pretty much anything else on sale at the time, and also now. So even if it didn't really work for you, it was at least trying to do a slightly different style of fresh fragrance. But where it has been discontinued, it's been a little more expensive, a little bit more difficult to find. As of this video, you can find it online, a 50 ml size, but still for about 40 bucks. So to see that kind of pop back up at an affordable price point, it's like, oh, if you want an extra bottle, if you really love this one, great time to scoop one up. I'm fine with that one, but just in case somebody out there finds that useful. Now this next one is really popular with the fragrance crowd. And by featuring it here, I'm not trying to say drop everything and buy 10 bottles, but once again, kind of like with this one, keep your eyes and ears open. It's Missoni Wave. Now, as I said, Wave, really popular within the fragrance world, right? And for good reason. It's easy to wear during the summer. It's a big compliment puller. The quality is nice, it's cheap, and it has a magnetic cap. Maybe that last part is just more important to me, but still. So this has been one that's gotten a lot of hype, a lot of love, and it's for those reasons I just said. You can typically find this 35 bucks, sometimes even a little bit less. Smells a little similar to Versace Pour Homme, a little bit similar to Allure Homme Sport, kind of splits the difference between the two. So very fresh, kind of an aquatic feel to it, nice citruses, extremely easy to wear, big compliment puller. This one though, it's popular within the fragrance world, right? But it doesn't really challenge Versace Pour Homme in terms of sales. The only place I could find this at retail for a long time was Belk. Yeah, Belk. And it's not even there anymore. It's basically only available at discounters. So it's a little iffy, you know? When it's no longer available at any retailer, it's only available at discounters. It's one of those things where you kind of have to read the tea leaves. Because all I'm saying is when you go to the retailers and you get hit with this, that's not great. So Missoni Wave, if you love this one, keep your eyes on it. If that price starts to really creep up, if it starts to sell out at discounters and it doesn't come back in stock, that's not great. But as it is, fantastic fragrance. And I will say one other thing that leads me to put this here is Missoni. It doesn't really look like they care about this line. They came out with Missoni Parfum Pour Homme, Missoni Wave, and after that, nothing. Okay, after that, Wanted by Night from Azzaro. Now, when you search up Azzaro on Ulta, Sephora, Macy's, all those websites, you will find the original Wanted. You will find Wanted Eau de Parfum, the Most Wanted Parfum, the Most Wanted Eau de Toilette Intense. What you will not find is Azzaro Wanted by Night and Azzaro Wanted Tonic. Now, to my taste, Azzaro Wanted Tonic is not great. That being said, it is dirt cheap. It's like 20 bucks for a 50 mil, something like that. So, you know, if you want something that's like an easy wearing summertime gym sport kind of fragrance, you could pick up Azzaro Wanted Tonic. I mean, at that price point, it's fine. But Wanted by Night, I feel like, is the better fragrance between the two. Now, this one is a bit sweet. It is spicy. There's cumin in here, and it has tobacco as well. So it's going to be a fall, wintertime fragrance, daytime or evening. Solid performance, and to me smells quite unique, even against other things out nowadays. Now, I personally love that like light bit of smoke that it has, all those spices, like an almost syrupy fruit sweetness as well. I think it works together fantastically. Smells great, good performance, unique, good versatility, everything I want. It does. Now, you know how I just said Wanted Tonic is like 20 bucks and on the higher end, like 30 or something? That's what this used to be. Yeah, years ago, Wanted by Night, you could pick that up for like 30 bucks. Nowadays, at discounters, 70, 80 bucks. I don't think it's a critical situation where this is gonna be out of stock, you know, next week or anything like that. But I do think it's a foregone conclusion that at some point in the not super distant future, Wanted by Night kind of goes by the wayside. Their concentration is on the Most Wanted and fleshing out the Wanted line with flankers that are not Wanted by Night and Tonic. All right, last but not least, Stronger With You Oud. That is from Emporio Armani, of course. And before we talk about that one, I do quickly want to point out just some other fragrance lines, fragrances that in the not too distant past were readily available. And it was the same kind of deal as these, you know, where myself or other people were like, hey, you want to keep your eyes on these, pick them up if you like them. And now they're gone and much more expensive. The Cavalli Uomo line with fragrances like La Notte, Deep Desire, those were fantastic. You could pick them up for like 50 bucks. Extremely hard to find now. The Scent Private Accord from Hugo Boss, Armani Code Absolute, and really most of the Code line. A whole bunch of Issey Miyake fragrances, Pulse of the Night, for example, Polaris. Some of those, like Polaris, you could find for a while. And so it was one of those things where it was like, oh, you can find this $50, no problem. Over time, stock drains out, and even some recent releases, some limited editions that it looks like were actually limited. Valentino Uomo the Gold, or Born in Roma the Gold, that one is already out of stock. So that was a limited edition that was like here for a couple months, I feel like. And then Superleggera, Allure Sport Superleggera. That one came out last year, the first Allure in a long time. When it was announced as a limited edition. And I had said at the time that there were rumors going around online that like they had done one run, like the initial run, then that sold out. And then it came back in stock, and that second run was it, which seemed a little odd to me at the time. You know, if it's selling out, why not make more of it? But this is now sold out everywhere, and at least as of this video, can't really find it. So back to this, Stronger With You Oud. It is limited edition. Maybe not as limited as this, and I guess technically it's an exclusive, Middle Eastern exclusive. But if you look at the Stronger With You lineup, Stronger With You Leather of those exclusive editions seem to be the most popular, and that one has gotten pretty difficult to find. When you search it up, it's basically just places offering decants to you. You can't really easily find bottles of that anymore. So Stronger With You Oud, also Stronger With You Amber, Stronger With You Tobacco. It would not surprise me if those, as time goes on, become like Stronger With You Leather, where they're more difficult to find. And Stronger With You is a fragrance line that has that tendency to have fragrances that slowly disappear from existence, like Stronger With You Freeze, for example. And then when they're gone, they're gone. Onto eBay you go if you want a bottle. So Stronger With You Oud, the last one that I wanted to highlight, but really it's the whole Stronger With You exclusive fragrances, and pointing to another fragrance line that had Middle Eastern exclusives that you used to be able to find, for the most part, that now you really can't very easily. The one, Royal Night, Luminous Night, Mysterious Night. Luminous Night was always hard to find, but the others were always very easy to find. And when I search up the one Royal Night now, it pulls up eBay, and people asking $250 or more for a fragrance that you used to be able to find at discounters for about $50. So there we go, guys. 10 fragrances that if you really love them, you may want to try to scoop them up now. Obviously, this is not an exhaustive list. There are a bunch out there, but these are the ones that popped into my mind first. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.